Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe to keep up with our newest tales. Gather around everyone. Pour yourself a cup of coffee, or perhaps indulge in something a bit bolder if the hour calls for it. What I'm about to share is a tale that still leaves me a bit dizzy even now, at 52 and with nearly 20 years of experience navigating the corporate maze at Sterling Solutions. I can confidently say that not much surprises me anymore. Do you believe you've experienced everything there is to see? The twists and turns, the reshuffling of roles, the intricate dynamics that could rival the most dramatic tales of power and intrigue. Yet this was unlike anything else. I'm Eleanor. But most folks just call me Ellie unless they're the ones writing my checks. As a seasoned project manager, I excel in my role, known for my dependability and perhaps a touch of predictability. I have a preference for maintaining order in all that I do. My desk often tells a tale of neatness. Snapshots of my 2 adult children, Sarah and Ben, arranged perfectly next to my monitor pens, standing ready in their holder. And a coaster for my constant companion, a steaming mug of Earl Grey. The office has a familiar, typical vibe to it. Countless partitions stretch out beneath the humming fluorescent lights, casting a faintly nauseating, greenish tint over everything. You're familiar with that kind. Walls that whisper of the beach, a carpet in shades of faded gray, and the soft, distant murmur of the HVAC system, creating a backdrop to the scene. In a state of serene detachment, one might describe it. Let me introduce you to David Miller, the man at the helm as CEO. Not just any middle manager, but the one at the very top. He's perhaps a decade my senior, always impeccably attired with keen eyes that miss nothing, and a way of speaking that is precise and to the point. It naturally garners admiration, you see. He's not unapproachable, precisely, just reserved, meticulously dedicated to excellence. We share warm exchanges, updates on our endeavors, thoughtful discussions. The typical flow of collaboration. There were no signs, no whispers of the unfolding tale that lay ahead. He has consistently embodied the essence of Mr. Sterling. With an air of sophistication and purpose, he navigates the world. His private existence, a captivating mystery concealed beneath a perfectly fitted exterior. Imagine this scenario. It was a Tuesday, an ordinary day, yet strange occurrences began to unfold. On a typical overcast Tuesday in Thais, late October, with a hint of drizzle in the air, the day unfolds quietly. A day where time feels like a playful trickster, dragging its feet and teasing you with each slow tick after lunch. I found myself immersed in the quarterly budget projections, wrestling with spreadsheets that resembled intricate alien hieroglyphics. My mind was as dull and unexciting as a bowl of lukewarm oatmeal. As the sun began to set, a sense of finality filled the air. Many had already begun to gather their belongings, each item a piece of a story coming to a close. The familiar sounds of the day's conclusion were starting to fill the air, the gentle zip of laptop bags, the clatter of keys finding their way into purses, and the soft murmur of farewells. I intended to spend another 30 minutes, perhaps an hour, to wrap my head around these numbers, before embarking on the journey home. In that moment, he came into view. Once upon a time, there was a character named David positioned at the boundary of my workspace that in itself was quite remarkable. He seldom stepped into the main bullpen unless summoned for a particular declared purpose. Typically, you found yourself called to his office, the one in the corner boasting a real view and an impressive espresso machine. He lingered for a moment, his gaze not quite fixed on me but rather drifting in the direction of my presence. He gently cleared his throat, setting the stage for what was to come. Eleanor. He spoke her name softly. His voice carried a softness, a hushed quality that felt different from the norm. I gazed upward, my eyes fluttering, attempting to transition from the chaos of budget discussions to engaging with the CEO, indeed David. With an instinctive grace, I adjusted my stance. Time-worn practices. Would you mind taking a moment of your time? When do you feel it's time to bring things to a close? My internal alert system sprang into action, signaling a heightened state of awareness. Financial reductions, job cuts. Have I made a colossal mistake? Memories flooded my thoughts as I reflected on the past few weeks. Did I let a deadline slip by me? Did something happen that needs to be addressed? You're familiar with the experience. Your mind swiftly weaves tales of the most daunting possibilities. Naturally, I succeeded making an effort to maintain a steady tone. I was just wrapping things up here. Could you spare me just 5 minutes? He nodded a swift, abrupt gesture. Let me share about my office if you would be so kind. As he pivoted and made his way down the executive corridor, the sound of his footsteps barely whispered against the aged carpet, creating an eerie stillness in the air. All right, the nerves have truly set in now. This was no ordinary visit to my office. This carried a weight. With a hurried motion, I secured my spreadsheet, my fingers stumbling awkwardly across the keyboard. I collected my purse and powered down my computer, going through the familiar motions that felt almost automatic. My heart was performing a peculiar little tap dance against my ribs as he made his way down the hallway to his office. Each step seemed to stretch out, creating a sense of anticipation in the air. The soft carpet absorbed my footsteps, creating an unsettling hush around me. The ambiance felt softer, cozier, and far removed from the sterile environment of a typical setting. Shiny surfaces, captivating visuals, adorning the walls, the hallmarks of a distinguished level. The door stood a fraction open, inviting curiosity. I knocked gently. Step inside, Eleanor. As I gently nudged the door ajar, I crossed the threshold into the room. In the spacious office, every item was placed with careful precision, creating an atmosphere of order and purpose. The expansive windows reached from floor to ceiling, framing a view of the city skyline. Raindrops cascaded down the glass, transforming the vibrant lights below into soft, blurred strokes of color. He was absent from his grand mahogany desk, marking yet another departure from the usual routine. He stood by the window, gazing outside, his back turned slightly toward me. He waved his hand towards the 2 leather armchairs positioned at an angle to his desk, close to a low coffee table. Kindly take a seat. I found myself perched on the edge of the plush chair, my purse held tightly in my lap, ready to share the tales that danced in my mind. The leather embraced my hands with a refreshing chill. The air was tinged with the scent of polished wood, mingling with the rich aroma of his preferred coffee. As he shifted away from the window, a realization struck me. He gazed exhausted. It's a weariness that goes beyond the surface, a profound exhaustion that lingers. Lines danced around his eyes, ones I had never noticed before, and his typically impeccable posture appeared just a touch more relaxed. He swept his fingers through his salt and pepper hair, an unusual move for him. He appeared anxious, as if a tale was about to unfold. My boss, the unshakable CEO, appeared truly anxious. He settled into the chair across from me, leaning in just a bit, his hands resting gently between his knees. He paused, locking eyes with me as if weighing the unspoken words between us. It felt surprisingly welcoming, unlike the usual experience. Once upon a time, it was exploring, open to the world. It was elusive, just out of reach. The quiet lingered heavy with untold narratives. Amidst the quiet, the gentle patter of rain whispered softly against the window. Thoughts swirled around in my head. What's happening? At last, he inhaled deeply. The noise echoed in the stillness of the room. Eleanor. He started anew, his voice soft and almost lost in the air. I have a personal tale I want to share with you. There's a tale I've yet to share with anyone else here. My breath hitched in my throat. Intimate. Is this from David Miller? This was truly astonishing. My meticulously crafted realm of spreadsheets and project timelines seemed to be swaying off balance. I simply nodded, speechless, bracing myself for the revelation that was about to unfold. What came out of his mouth next? That's the moment when everything took an unexpected turn. There I sat, nestled in that luxurious leather armchair, my heart pounding like a drum against my ribs, anticipation swirling in the air. The atmosphere in David's office was heavy, brimming with unspoken narratives. Once upon a time, there was something intriguing waiting to be discovered. What lies ahead? Fear. I truly couldn't discern. The rain outside played its gentle melody on the glass, a constant beat, echoing the unspoken tension that lingered in the air between us. David stared at his hands intertwined, and still taking a moment that felt heavy with contemplation, perhaps summoning his resolve. As he raised his gaze, our eyes locked in a moment of connection. The facade he meticulously maintained had vanished. Absolutely. What I witnessed instead was an unfiltered glimpse of fragility, a hint of exhaustion, and something more profound. Could it have been hope? "Eleanor?" he said, his voice now steady yet still soft. For the past 30 years, my life has been a tapestry of remarkable experiences, creating it, nurturing it, overseeing it. It has encompassed a myriad of experiences. He took a moment, his hand sweeping through the air as he indicated the luxurious surroundings of the office. This, in the midst of bustling gatherings, negotiations unfold and the weight of expectations looms large. It shapes my essence. Or rather, he amended with a sardonic smile. It's what others believe shapes my identity. I nodded slowly. My curiosity piqued as I leaned in closer, eager to absorb every word. Indeed, that was a fact. David Miller was a beacon of excellence in the eyes of all, including my own. He reclined a bit, yet his stance stayed rigid. However, there is an additional aspect to consider, something I've kept entirely apart. Segmented. He paused once more, sifting through his thoughts for the perfect expression I'd write. He said at last, the word lingering in the space that separated us. You penned your thoughts and I mirrored them, eyes wide in wonder. So you mean like narratives? What about mimas? It felt awkward as the words left my mouth, but my mind was grappling to link David Miller, the CEO, with the idea of a writer. A gentle, almost bashful smile graced his lips. No, not reports. I weave narratives. Verse that captures the essence of life. Verses that weave emotions and imagery. I simply gazed at him. If he shared that he worked as a rodeo clown on the side, I might have found it less shocking. David Miller, a master of financial analysis, effortlessly navigated the complexities of balance sheets and secured multi-million-dollar contracts with remarkable ease. Verse that weaves emotions and imagery. The difference was astonishing. It was akin to stumbling upon the hidden world of your strict, no-nonsense math teacher, who beneath that serious exterior created enchanting watercolor fairies. He appeared to sense the skepticism etched on my features, prompting him to let out a brief, humble chuckle. I understand. It doesn't quite align with the vision, does it? Not at all. I confessed sincerely, absolutely not. Honestly, that's impressive, David. Verses that weave emotions and imagery. It all began during my college years. He carried on, appearing to ease a bit now that the first revelation had been shared. Simply exploring. Then life unfolded with a whirlwind of events. Life's journey, relationships, the whole experience. Yet, always found a way to keep going. It transformed into an escape. A method to navigate experiences, to experience the world from a perspective beyond this chair. With a sweeping motion, he pointed to his grand desk. He gazed out the window once more at the rain-drenched scene beyond. For years it has remained hidden within me. My wife was aware naturally before she left us. He touched on her passing for a moment, a fleeting shadow crossing his face. Yet he chose not to linger on it. Yet there is an absence of presence here. There hasn't been a single individual in my career journey. It felt like a mismatch, perhaps lacking strength. Definitely not an activity one would expect a CEO to engage in. My thoughts were swirling, attempting to bridge the gap between the formidable executive persona and this concealed, tender aspect. a storyteller. In an instant, fragments of yesteryears aligned perfectly. A curious expression emerged during the meeting, an intriguing remark that appeared somewhat uncharacteristic. There was a certain depth in his gaze, especially at moments when he believed no one was watching. What's the reason behind that? What makes you share this with me, David? I inquired gently, the question lingering in the stillness of the room. What brings us to this moment? He shifted his focus back to me, and the intensity was captivating. Because, he said with a measured pace, I've been sharing some of my creations, clearly under a different name. And so a quaint little literary journal has expressed interest in sharing a collection of narratives, David, that's truly enchanting, I exclaimed. Truly moved and honestly grateful that he chose to share this with me. Well done. That's monumental. He nodded, yet a shadow of concern lingered on his face. It certainly is. And I yearn to embark on that journey. I truly do. However, it signifies a more open recognition of it. Even with a different name, it feels like stepping into the light. And truly, Eleanor. He leaned in once more, his voice becoming softer. I'm contemplating taking a step back. It's not happening right now, but there's a vision for it in the future. Perhaps stepping away from the CEO position in the coming years. That was the astonishing part. Is David Miller parting ways with Sterving Solutions? It felt utterly unimaginable. The company was the essence of his existence. Taking a moment to pause, I echoed, bewildered. He gestured between us, indicating this upcoming release. It's prompted me to reflect on my true desires for the upcoming chapter of my journey. Should I continue pushing myself to the limit? Or do I wish to delve into this different aspect of the piece I've tucked away in the shadows for ages? His gaze was fixed on me, full of meaning. And I'm sharing this with you, Eleanor, because I have faith in you. Your insight and careful consideration have always held great importance to me. You've been put on pause. Your insight is remarkable. You're able to perceive the unseen. And he added a faint smile, returning, You don't seem like the type to mock a CEO who expresses himself through poetry. A warmth blossomed in my chest. An unexpected bond with this man I believed I understood, yet clearly did not. He viewed me not merely as an employee, a part of his operation, but as an individual he could share his thoughts with, a person whose response held significance in a personal way. No, David, I whispered gently. I wouldn't find that amusing. I believe it is incredible indeed. We lingered in quietude for a brief spell. Our connection transformed in ways we never anticipated. He had transformed into something more than just a figure of authority in my life. He was a man wrestling with a significant choice, uncovering a deeper layer of his being. The sterile office transformed into a cozy nook, a serene space for whispered secrets amidst the bustling corporate chaos. The rain poured steadily, transforming the city lights into a dreamy tapestry of shimmering constellations beyond the window, and I sensed that my familiar structured existence had just been profoundly and maybe beautifully transformed. Describing it as amazing seemed like a monumental understatement. Yet my mind was still catching up, attempting to grasp the sight of David Miller, the giant of industry, bent over a notebook, pouring out his thoughts in verse. The stillness that lingered felt different this time, more comfortable than it had been in the past. Once upon a time it was reflective, burdened by the gravity of his revelation, yet buoyed by the unexpected ease of voicing it, perhaps for the very first time in this setting. The rain outside had eased into a gentle drizzle, and the city lights beyond the glass appeared more vivid, tiny bursts of yellow and white illuminating the deepening twilight sky. David exhaled deeply, a sense of relief washing over him as the tightness in his shoulders began to fade. It felt as if a figure carved from stone began to reveal a hint of warmth, gently yielding at its boundaries. "Thank you, Eleanor," he said, his voice regaining some of its familiar resonance, yet holding on to that fresh warmth that carries a significance beyond your understanding. As I settled into the plush armchair, I couldn't help but adopt his more relaxed posture, creating a moment that felt rich with unspoken narratives. My initial shock was evolving into a rich tapestry of feelings, a true appreciation for his concealed enthusiasm, a sense of compassion for the openness he displayed, and I must confess a spark of curiosity. What was the true essence of this man after nearly 2 decades of sharing the same space? It was as if I was encountering him anew. With a sense of trepidation, I started my curiosity bubbling beneath the surface, eager to uncover the tale that lay ahead. This pseudonym along with the chapbook. What tales do you weave in your poetry? If it's not too much trouble, may I inquire? A fleeting, unexpected grin that catches you off guard. Feel free to inquire, Eleanor, but conveying it can be quite challenging. It's definitely not the kind of thing you'd find in a corporate meeting, that's for sure. He took a moment lost in thought. Insights. Primarily experiences, the way light dances on the facade of an ancient structure. The sensation of solitude while strolling through the city at dawn. The whispers of history lingering in the air. His gaze wandered back to the window, seeking the significance or perhaps the allure in the everyday moments we often overlook in our haste. I could envision it, and oddly enough, it seemed just right. There was a certain quiet intensity about him, a remarkable ability to hone in on a single point during a presentation. Perhaps that same dedication could be used to weave together ephemeral experiences into narratives. It resonates. Captivating. I present it with heartfelt sincerity. It is essential, he responded with clarity. Is that how it is for me then? A narrative of balance. He cast a glance in my direction, which brings me back to the reason I'm sharing this with you, this journey. Should I choose to embark on it, will not be straightforward. Sterling solutions require a solid foundation. A steady hand is essential. And honestly, he sighed. Wire someone in the company whom I can rely on completely as I journey through this. A person who grasps the intricacies of the business while also having a deep understanding of its essence. Understands this. He waved his hand, hinting at the hidden truths, the lyrical essence, the possibility of transformation ahead. My heart leaped once more with excitement. Was he seeking assistance, looking for some guidance? It was like stepping into a dream. In my journey, I held the role of a senior project manager, skilled in my role certainly, but not quite part of the core discussions around succession planning or top-tier corporate strategy. David, it means a lot to me that you feel comfortable sharing this with me, I replied thoughtfully. And I will certainly do whatever I can to lend a hand, while I'm uncertain about what that might involve. With a flick of his wrist, he brushed it aside. At this moment, there's nothing specific to share. It's about having a companion on the journey. A person who understands the entire narrative. Someone with whom I can share thoughts not only regarding the business, but also about this different journey. Is that clear to you? Indeed it does. I gave a slight nod. It was as if I had been welcomed into an exclusive circle, though it consisted of just the two of us. Once upon a time, there was a CEO and a project manager. The bard and the self-assured, he appeared to breathe a sigh of relief. Excellent, excellent. He lapsed into quiet once more rhythmically, drumming a finger on the arm of his chair. In the stillness of the office, the only sounds were the soft hum of the building's systems and the faint echo of a siren lamenting somewhere in the bustling city below. Then he surprised everyone with an even more astonishing act. He leaned in a bit. Uncertainty flickering across his expression. Would you care to share? I know it might be a bit forward, but would you care to dive into something I've written? A brief narrative. My eyes opened a bit wider. He asked me to dive into his verses. At this moment, I stumbled over my words, taken aback, yet profoundly intrigued. Absolutely, David, it would be a privilege. He extended his hand toward the low coffee table that separated us, where a slender, well-loved, leather-bound notebook rested partially obscured by a financial report. I had never really paid attention to it until now. He lifted it with a sense of awe, his fingers gliding over the worn gold lettering on the cover. Only the letters D. Gem. He turned the pages with intent, his brow knitted in focus, then came to a halt. He chose not to give it to me. Instead, he cleared his throat softly, and in a gentle, hushed voice, a stark contrast to his usual authoritative boardroom tone, he began to weave his narrative. It was brief, perhaps just 10 lines long. In the early hours, the city held its breath, a serene stillness enveloping the streets as the first light of day kissed the towering glass structures, hinting at the stories that would unfold with the coming bustle. His voice carried a natural quality, allowing the words to unfold on their own, and so it happened. Their words created a scene so rich and immersive I could nearly sense the scent of the wet pavement and the chill of the morning breeze. It was unexpectedly moving, evoking a feeling of isolation and serene beauty that struck a chord within me. A person who frequently felt adrift in the routine of corporate life. As he concluded, he raised his gaze, his demeanor cautious, scanning my features for any sign of response. The atmosphere buzzed with a unique kind of energy, the raw openness of a creator unveiling their masterpiece. In that moment, my perspective took on a weight that I had never anticipated. Once upon a time, there was a character named David. I spoke, my voice slightly heavy with feeling that was truly enchanting. Indeed, your talent shines brightly. A gentle grin blossomed on his face, illuminating his eyes. This time, it changed him, giving him a youthful appearance as if the weight of the world had been lifted from his shoulders. Gratitude flowed from his lips as he softly acknowledged Eleanor. Much appreciated. He softly shut the notebook, as if sealing away a tale yet to be told. That moment was a turning point. A boundary was breached. We had connected over something genuine, something that transcended numbers and financial statements. He revealed a concealed aspect of his essence, and I hoped, embraced it with the reverence it warranted. He cast a fleeting look at the clock resting on his desk. Oh my, how time flies. I've held you here far longer than I should have. Eleanor, I sincerely apologize. Absolutely not, I replied, swiftly, rising to my feet as he did. As the moment passed, our professional roles settled back into place, though the mutual understanding remained. Once more he expressed his gratitude as he guided me to the door, appreciating my willingness to listen and my capacity to understand text. Whenever you need David, I responded, locking eyes with him as I crossed the threshold into the softly illuminated hallway. He held the door for me, his tone turning reflective, as if there was more to be shared at another time. There's another topic, Eleanor. Something I'd like to discuss with you further, perhaps in a more relaxed off-site setting. My steps wavered, beyond the confines of the office. What comes next? The extraordinary, it appeared, was just beginning, beyond the confines of the workplace. The words flowed forth unexpectedly, carrying a hint of astonishment. As I navigated through the intricate layers of poetry and the unexpected news of the CEO's potential exit, my thoughts danced around the unfolding narrative, trying to make sense of this latest twist. What other tales could unfold? David shared a comforting smile tinged with a hint of fatigue. Rest, assured Eleanor. There's nothing to worry about. Some tales are best shared in a setting beyond these confines. He waved his hand in a sweeping motion indicating the surroundings of the executive corridor. How about we share a cup of coffee later this week? Or perhaps a serene lunch, if that suits your fancy. The invitation carried a weight of significance while also feeling effortlessly organic, a reflection of the closeness we had shared in our dialogue. This wasn't a request from my CEO for a meeting. It was reminiscent of David posing a question to Ellie. That sounds great. I'd be happy to continue our conversation over coffee. The initial anxiety had faded away, giving way to a deep curiosity. And if I'm truthful, a feeling of subtle significance, perhaps Thursday morning then, prior to the hustle. Absolutely wonderful. He nodded in agreement. Once upon a time, there was a charming spot known as the Daily Grind, nestled just a few blocks down Maple Street. It was a time of stillness, a moment where the world seemed to pause around 8. I'm aware of it. Thursday at 8 o'clock sounds perfect to me. Outstanding. Once more I extend my gratitude, Eleanor, for all that is. He offered a thoughtful look, expressing quiet gratitude before I left the room that struck a chord within me. As the day drew to a close, I whispered gently, "Good night, David." "Sweet dreams, Ellie." When he uttered my nickname, it was as if we had woven a bond marking the transformation in our relationship. I strolled through the nearly abandoned office floor, where the familiar lines of dark monitors and vacant chairs felt transformed this evening. The fluorescent lights continued their incessant buzzing. The carpet remained a dull gray, yet my viewpoint had shifted. The familiar terrain of my professional life unexpectedly unveiled a hidden oasis brought to light by the most unexpected individual. The following day and a half unfolded in a whirlwind of routine tasks, gatherings, messages, and data sheets, but everything felt just a bit off. In a fleeting moment during a management meeting, I caught a glimpse of David. He was his usual commanding self, sharp and focused, weaving through quarterly reports with precision, revealing the narratives hidden within the numbers. Yet my perspective of him had shifted. His fingers danced quietly on the table, a rhythm only he could hear, while his head tilted ever so slightly, absorbing the words of others. In those brief instances when his gaze wandered, it felt as if he were weaving a tapestry of thoughts, crafting verses in the quiet corners of his mind. Our gazes intertwined for a fleeting moment across the gleaming table, a subtle spark of mutual recognition, before we both turned our eyes elsewhere. It was a tale of whispers concealed yet ever present. Thursday morning dawned fresh and radiant, a delightful contrast to the rain-soaked Tuesday that had come before. A wave of anticipation washed over me as I strolled the short distance to the Daily Grind, adjusting my blazer with care. It wasn't a date, clearly, but it carried a weight of importance all the same. The cafe exuded warmth, enveloped in the delightful scent of brewing coffee and the soft chatter of early risers. Exposed brick walls, mismatched wooden tables, local art displayed in a charmingly chaotic manner, creating a backdrop for tales waiting to be told. There was David tucked away at a small table in the corner, cradling a black coffee, his eyes lost in the view outside the window. He stepped into the room, not in his typical power suit, but instead donned a simple yet elegantly tailored charcoal sweater, paired with dark trousers. He appeared friendly, relatable. As our eyes met, he rose to his feet, a warm smile lighting up his expression. "Ellie, thanks for coming." "Morning, David," I replied, settling into the chair across from him. As the server glided by, I called out for my familiar Earl Grey, a comforting ritual in my day. For a few moments, we simply lingered in the moment, the cozy quiet occasionally broken by the clinking of ceramic mugs and the gentle hiss of the espresso machine. "So," I started softly, "what was it you wished to talk about?" He savored his coffee, letting the warmth linger before he spoke. "It's about this transition," he said, his voice low, the potential stepping back and the beauty within it. He leaned forward slightly, his expression earnest. "The thing is, Eleanor, stepping away from Sterling isn't merely a logistical challenge. It's a journey filled with emotions. It's been a part of who I am for such a long time. And this other aspect," he gestured to the side of his head, "the storyteller. I've always kept him at a distance in my public life. This chapbook seems like the initial move, yet it feels like a tease." He stopped, locking eyes with me. What I wanted to ask you away from the office is if you'd be open from time to time to be someone I can bounce ideas off of, not just for the business continuity plans we will need to address formally, but for this, for exploring the journey of blending these two aspects of my life, or how to smoothly transition from one to the other. A person who understands the full picture. Now, your viewpoint, I truly cherish it. It wasn't about inviting me to share the journey of the company or to make groundbreaking choices. It had an elegance to it, and yet it resonated on a deeper level. He sought a reliable companion, someone to bear witness and possibly provide subtle direction on his path of transformation. It was a plea rooted in the deep respect and trust that had surprisingly flourished between us. A gentle embrace of warmth enveloped me. In the frequently detached realm of corporate hierarchies and profit margins, this experience resonated deeply. He wasn't making the most of his situation. He reached out, yearning for a bond that transcended the ordinary. "David," I said, locking eyes with him, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. "I would be deeply honored, truly. I'm here to guide you through this, whatever it takes." The relief that washed over his face was unmistakable. "Thank you, Ellie. That signifies a wonderful exchange." We continued our dialogue for another hour, the words weaving together effortlessly. He shared more about his craft. The narratives he delved into the dedication it demanded. A unique form of discipline compared to managing a company, yet equally challenging. I discovered that I was revealing my experiences as well, reflecting on my children, carving out their own journeys, and my own contemplations about what the future may hold after the whirlwind of work and family life. It had transformed beyond the confines of a typical hierarchy. Two individuals equal in years, yet differing in status, exchanged their worries and dreams for what lay ahead. As we prepared to depart, the bustling morning crowd starting to gather around us, David lingered by the door. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "it's amusing. You spend years with others believing you understand them completely. Then one day a change occurs and suddenly they appear before you in an entirely different way." I smiled. "It's amusing," I concurred. "And at times it's truly delightful." He nodded, a sincere, carefree smile brightening his expression. Yes, it is." As I strolled back towards the towering glass building of Sterling Solutions, the familiar structure seemed to take on a new light. It felt less imposing, perhaps, just a place where people worked, each carrying their own hidden stories, their own private poetry. My boss, the CEO, wrote verses about dawn light on skyscrapers. And he had trusted me with his secret opening, a door to an unexpected connection that had subtly, profoundly enriched my own predictable world. It was without a doubt unbelievable. But the most unbelievable part wasn't just what he told me. It was the quiet sense of possibility that lingered afterward. The reminder that even in the most familiar settings, discovery and genuine human connection can bloom in the most unexpected ways. And that I thought stepping back into the familiar hum of the office was a story worth sharing.